Guys, so this video is about how I ended up as a guest service officer or purser on a Disney cruise ship. Actually, where I started my career years before that as a canopy carrier at the Main Street Electrical Parade. So, my Disney career started some years ago. Actually, was working at this downtown office in Los Angeles, and a good friend of mine, love you for this. She knows who she is. She called me and said, "Hey, did you hear that Disneyland's having their last Main Street Electric Parade this year, and I think it would be really good." And I'm like, "What?" So a little background quickly. So I'm originally from the Caribbean, and the Caribbean has different type of music: calypso, soca, reggae, all this great type of music. And we always danced when we were kids. It's just something we always did. And so in high schools, we did a lot of dance contests and did dance competitions, and it was just something that we just did. We never took any formal training or any classes. And so she was aware of this, and I did a few musicals and stuff, messed around like that. So she knew that this parade was going to have the final season, and she thought that I'd be a good performer. Mind you, when you go to audition at a Disney resort, whether it be a theme park or whether it be for the ship or whether it be for even the overseas parks, as a performer, it's intense. You have people there that have performed and practiced and took classes and trained for years. So here I am walking in with my Caribbean self going, "What the heck is this? What shouted what? I had no idea what I stepped myself into." And the great choreographer at the time saw something in me and said, "You know what? In the unit, if you're familiar with it, there's Cinderella unit, and the ball dancers inside with all these beautiful lights, and there's people that carry the canopy. You basically have the canopy in your hand, and you put your legs out, and you go to the music and bounce and stuff." So he figured he can't mess that up. So he actually hired me, and I remember when I was doing that parade, one of the orientation one day was actually during the afternoon, and we stood on Main Street, USA for Disneyland, and we watched the Lion King parade. Now I tell you, I'm not sure if you've ever got a chance to see the original Lion King parade at Disneyland, not all the different remakes in different parks and from the other adaptation, but the original Lion King parade, if you ever get a chance to check it out, it would bring tears to people's eyes. It was so emotional. And I'm not sure if you know the history of the Lion King, the movie itself too. Before the parade, they actually went to Africa and studied these different animals to how the characters would move and react, and it was amazing. So they basically took that adaptation from these animals in the movies to do a parade, and it was just really, really great. So I remember watching that parade orientation, thinking, "Man, I'm getting that parade. I don't know how, don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm getting that parade." So back, I think 2 months after, while I was doing the Main Street Electric Parade, they were auditioning for the Lion King Parade, and they said they were looking for stilt walkers. Now, mind you, yeah, a lot of people stilt walk, but I'd never stilt walk in my life. And so I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna get in this parade." So I was backstage with new friends that I made in the Electric Parade, holding my arms out with my legs and trying to balance me and me not fall. And it's like, oh my goodness. And for the audition for the stilt, basically you just have to walk forward and back and do a play some music, and you just have to kind of move and groove. Well, I knew how to move and groove, but I was just praying I was not gonna fall and bust my face up, and I didn't. So I got a part of the stilt walker at Main Street Electric Parade, and it was the most exciting thing ever. I still do the Main Street Electric Parade. Now the Lion King Parade as a stilt walker, and it was a dream come true. It really was. I mean, as somebody who's never taken any training or any professional dancing, it was really exciting. So I was in the parade for, I think, for about a year or so in the parade department, and I actually wanted to become a supervisor. And I remember interviewing for it, and they said I wasn't ready for it or something to that fact. I thought, "All right, it's okay, all right." So something in me, even at that time, this is some time back, knew that there was something in me that I was supposed to do something else, something greater. I don't know, so to inspire, lead what I do today. So I actually went to the casting agency, which is that hiring company for the Disney Resort, and this female, she was the casting agent, and she says, "You know what? I'm gonna send you 3 reservations so you can work for the travel company." People call in from all over the world, and you book their travels, all from hotel, cars, and all the resorts and all that stuff. And then I said, "Okay," But I was walking out the office. She says, "You know what? I think it'd be better at the hotel." And this kind of story has happened to me so many times in my life, and it's just points where I've had somebody who made a change in my life that was for the better, and I've been able to pay it forward and make sure that I never forgot these instances. So she sent me to the hotel. The Paradise Pier Hotel has a front desk agent, and I got there, and I loved it. It was cool. People all over the world coming on vacations, and I got a chance to use my personality. And then within months, I applied for the management training program at the Disney Resort, which is a huge big deal. It's probably different at this time, but back then you actually went. It was like a college course, and it was a accelerated college course, and they basically would train you to become a manager in a specific department. So I actually applied to become a manager, and I was accepted. And I actually did a manager training program for the food and beverage department for the restaurant. It was called PCH Grill there at the time. And it was really cool. That character dining, and you, as the manager of food and beverage, you were in charge of room service also. And then there's a Mary Poppins tea upstairs, and it was a lot to do. So that was pretty exciting. I did that for about, I think, 4 months or so. And then they needed a concierge guest service manager, so then I became a concierge guest service manager at the same hotel. And then as that, you got involved in so many different things and so many different projects. And then, so I did that, I think, all for about a few years. I think I briefly left the company for a few months, and I came back. And actually, I came back and worked with a travel company now as a manager, where she was actually going to send me as just a person answering the phone. So I was actually one of the managers, and I had an amazing leader and boss who saw a lot in me, and she'd give me a lot of projects. And then I became in charge of the international team. To all my Latinos, I was actually in charge of the Mexico market for the travel company, for the Walt Disney Travel Company, and that was really exciting. I didn't speak a lick of Spanish, and still don't, but I had an amazing team who really took care of me, and that was really exciting. I actually got it. I'm not saying this to blow myself up, I'm giving you some history of how I ended up on a cruise ship, and I actually got an award, the Spirit Award, which is one of the highest awards you can get as a cast member and employee for the company. I actually got one working in a travel company, and that was really, really just humbling. So after that, I worked as an event coordinator. So basically, it's a catering convention services manager, and you're in charge of all events from 1 person to 1,000. And somebody came in and said, "I want to have a Mickey Mouse wedding. You're gonna pay for Mickey Mouse wedding, but we're gonna make it work. You want Mickey to come in and fly down these flight of stairs for you and the kite? We're gonna make it work. You can pay for it, but we're gonna make it work." So I did that for a little bit. And then between these gigs, I was a VIP tour guide. That was really fun because I got a chance to do a lot of special events, and so many celebrities would come in the park, and we would be with them from the second they stepped until the time they left. And then you basically are the right hand, and you backdoor them into all the attractions, restaurants, and that was really nice. That's some really amazing, humbling people. And then I think I went back to the travel company after that. I think I went back to the travel company. So during this, a couple of times my friends and I, we went to the Disney resorts in Orlando for vacation. And I think after the second time, we actually went on a Disney cruise. And then that might have been like my second or third cruise. I think I did a few before then, but it was like my third cruise. So I was there one day, I was like, you know what? I want to work on the ship. And my friends are like, what? You just don't come and work on the ship. It's crazy. You just, a lot of people apply for and take chances to come here, and they have to work some other ships and work their way up. It's like, oh, no, I'm going to go check it out. So I literally went to the guest service desk, the purser desk, the Disney Magic, and I asked, I said, is the hotel director around? And they're like, yes, can I help you with something? I said, well, I'm a manager of the Disney Resorts, and I just kind of want to get some information on, what it is that you guys do here. So those were like all odd and stuff, and the hotel director came out, and no one I think had ever had done that at that point. So she came out, really, her name was Angela, really, really nice female. She also gave me a tour of the backstage area of where they worked and how they operated, and kind of the back scene of a cruise ship, of management. And she says, you know what, Jenny, when you get back, send me your CV. Our Europeans call it CV, we call it resumes in the States. And I basically got back, and I remember speaking to my director of the travel company at the time, and he's like, you're going to be gone. He says, but you're probably going to leave the company after this. I'm like, and I looked at him like, what? What does that mean? And he's like, trust me. He says, I think you're probably going to be gone soon, but you're probably going to leave the company also. And I was like, at that point, I was with the company about 8 years, about 8.5 years. About 8 years, I think. So I got hired. It was within, I think, a month, 2 months. And it doesn't happen. You just don't get to the ship like that, especially that level. And so when I first got on, it was like a management training program, because they wanted me to know what the agents did, the first guest service agents on the ship did. And basically they were reporting to me, but I was wearing their same uniforms and doing the exact same things they were doing. But it was kind of weird because if you ever know anything about a ship and how you work on a ship, it's a tough life. And about 90-95% of the people who work on the ship are from international places, because the ship is registered in international waters, so they can have different label rules. Because if the ship is registered in the United States, you have to follow United States labor rules. So if you're registered in international waters, people working every single day, guys, from 10 to 12 hours, even more. So I was an officer, I was a manager, so I had a better cabin than my folks who reported to me. There was an officer mess hall, a restaurant that you would eat at. But I try to do everything that my folks did so they wouldn't see me differently. Because a lot of jobs that I've had, I've also actually started the front lines and worked my way up. So no one could ever say, oh, you don't know what I do. It's like, yeah, actually I do, because I did what you did. And this institution was really challenging, I think, for my crew, because although I was next to them and doing the same work at the time while I was being trained as a manager, but also knowing what their job were, they knew there's going to be just a short amount of time that I was going to be their manager. And I've had situations where I've had good friends that had worked alongside me, and as I progressed and got promoted, some people took it well, some people didn't. So I think they saw the writing on the wall, so they were trying to keep their distance and not be too friendly, but keep, but supportive, if you can understand that. So anyways, I was there for a few months, and it was really tough because by that point, I've been with the company for 8.5 years, and let me tell you this, Disney has taught me more about myself than any other company. And I've been to some companies. My resume is quite extensive, and it's out there on LinkedIn and all this good stuff. And I share, my life. The last thing I did was a flight attendant for quite a few years. People always say, how was it working for Disney? They prepare you for just about anything. When you leave that company, you know that there's nothing you can't do, because you go. And I use this word in my other videos. You go above and beyond. There's no word has no and I don't know. Just like, what? Let me find out, or I'm not sure, but I'm gonna find an option for you. You never said no. If somebody needed something, somebody wanted something, not only did your team figure out how to do it and make it work, you were actually supported, you were empowered, you were celebrated, you were rewarded. You can work your butt off. Let me tell you that. I'm not gonna be shy about it. Like all the roles I did when I was working there, I worked hard, but I got rewarded hard. So I was one who stayed after, who took on the projects, who raised my hands when nobody else did. And I was working around people who had MBAs and masters, high school education here, baby. Worked my way up to the top. And then so because of that, it was a reward for them, it's a reward for myself. And the challenge was when I got on the ship and I saw the dream. I was like, wow, I've been in this company for such a long time, and because it's registered in the international waters and they have international labor laws, what I saw, what other folks have to go through, I was like, this is not the company I know. This is not the company that I am so in love with, and just like grew up, from that Main Street USA to now an officer on the ship. The uniform was so beautiful, and so it was hard for me to leave. It really, really was hard for me to leave. And at that point, I think I did about 7 or 8 different roles. So it was time. But I took everything I learned from that company to everywhere else I went after that. And everywhere else went after that was a piece of cake because of Disney. So if you ever have a chance to work for Disney, or if you're working for Disney, I know it's not easy, I know it's challenging, but the skill sets that you're gaining right now, invaluable. It's priceless. I can't put a dollar amount on the training that I received, the feedback I got, the encouragement I got. For a kid that grew up in the Caribbean with nothing to end up the position I did on a cruise ship after 8 years of working there, from a parade position carrying a pole on my waist, that's pretty damn good. So I always say, I wonder where I would be now if I was still with them, or if I would actually be with them in the future. Who knows if that opportunity would ever arise. But if you ever get a chance to work for the mouse, you're going to do a great job. All right, hope you enjoyed this, guys. Subscribe, ask me any questions down below, share your experiences yourself, and I'll be happy to respond. Have a good day. Ciao.